Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. We got a Utah Hockey Club prospect video here. This isn't even all their prospects. Last year, I think they had 22 prospects. This year, they're at 29 or 30, and it's only going to increase. I had to leave some prospects off the board, but let's get into it. Also, I'm recording this on December 14th, the Saturday, and it's being uploaded on the 17th to Tuesday. So if you go look at these numbers, they might be some points, like 1 or 2 points off, or games played off, but the general sentiment still stands. And for almost every player, I got a little interesting blurb about them. So we'll start with, I think, Utah's #1 prospect, Tej Aginla. Unfortunately, he sustained a season-ending hip injury, so he will be out for the rest of the season. Very unfortunate. Looking at his numbers, he was well above a point per game for his team in the Western Hockey League in Canada. He wasn't selected for the World Junior Team Canada team, which raised my eyebrows, but then shortly after they came out and released a statement that he is injured. Some early adversity for Aginla early in his career for a bright young player. So hopefully he just gets better, he recovers well, and it doesn't really hurt his trajectory in terms of reaching the NHL. Then we go to Justin Kipke, 5th round pick, defenseman. I'm always high on Kipke. He wears the captain patch for his team in the WHL, and he's on pace to match last season's point totals. For prospect reports, you just want to see players reach or near that point per game mark, and you want to see steps forward from last year's totals. You never want to see steps back. A lot of these players had huge steps forward. Then we go to Terrell Goldsmith, 2 goals, 8 assists, 10 points, and 25 games played. He's our big body gooner defenseman, huge physical guy, gets into a lot of fights, taking a lot of penalty minutes, but we might start to see some production and offensive upside to his game. He's 1 goal and 5 points behind his career high totals in 40 less games played. So maybe he's trying to start that offensive upside to his game. He recently signed an entry-level contract for Utah back in October. And one more WHL player is VT Vasanen. I put him in Finland, but after research, I found out he plays in the WHL. So a mistake on my end. And do I have anything about Vasanen? He is picked for the World Junior Championships tournament, Team Finland, and he's reached career high in points in 23 less games played. Last year, he played in Finland. This year is with the WHL. The World Junior Tournament, if you don't know, begins Boxing Day, and it's like a 2-week tournament for young players. It's always great to see your team's prospects play in a high-pressured tournament like the World Junior Championship. I believe it's Boxing Day to January 4th. Then we go to the Ontario Hockey League. We're sticking with Canada, then we're moving on to America. Cole Baudouin, another high prospect for Utah. He wears the alternate A captain patch for his team in the Ontario Hockey League. He's selected for Team Canada at the World Junior Championship, so I'm excited to watch Cole Baudouin for Team Canada. Then we go to Owen Allard and Noel Nord. Both of these players have signed entry-level contracts with Utah. Noel Nord, the first ever signing for the Utah Hockey Club. They play on the same team, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, up north in Ontario. This is Allard's 4th year with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. He's on pace to beat his career highs. And Noel Nord, he was supposed to start and play with the Tucson Roadrunners, but he was sent down to the OHL. He's got great numbers, 17 points in 13 games played, a 3rd round pick. I expect both of them to play for Tucson next season. I liked both of their games in the rookie tournament in September, so hopefully they develop some chemistry together playing in the Ontario Hockey League. Then we go to the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. Gabe Smith, 14 points in 24 games played. He has reached his career high in goals in 30 less games played, so great stuff for him. And then we go to Lavoie, a defenseman. Great numbers here, 24 points in 27 games played for a defenseman. But there's a caveat. The Quebec League, it's a high goal-scoring league, so you might be burned just looking at point totals. I know I've been burned Previously in the Coyotes organization, I was so high on a Quebec defenseman, Langlois, and then Bill Armstrong never decided to sign him to an entry-level contract. No other team picked him up in free agency, and so he's just playing in junior league, still waiting to start his American Hockey League or National Hockey League career. Lavoie, he wears the A for his team, and he's already surpassed his goal totals and point totals in 40 less games played. So great stuff to see prospects taking that step forward and improving from last year. Then we go to America. The NCAA, definitely a much tougher league than the Canadian leagues. Castagna, he plays top line, top power play, top PK, but it seems like he's taking a step back or maybe having a slow start here. Only 1 goal and 7 points in 11 games played. He's a highly touted center prospect, maybe a step below Baudouin, who they just drafted recently. This is Castagna's second year in the NCAA, so hopefully he starts to pick it up moving forward. Ludka, just like Iginla, he has suffered a season-ending long injury. Upper body, only played 5 games, so hopefully he recovers quickly and 100% as well, along with Iginla. Then we go to Will Skahan, second-round pick defenseman. A lot of good stuff. The coaches like him. He's like 6'5", 6'6", big defenseman. He's playing a lot of minutes. It's his first year in the NCAA, so keep an eye on him. He might be an underrated Utah prospect moving forward. Then we go to Michael Horobal, the best goaltending prospect for Utah. He was selected to represent Team Czechia at the upcoming World Junior Tournament. Great goalie numbers, playing a lot of hockey. Keep an eye on him. You should keep an eye on him. That's our #1 goalie prospect in the NCAA. And then Anson Thornton, he plays in the East Coast Hockey League for the Allen Americans. He's finally playing hockey. The whole time he's been in the Coyotes Utah organization, his career has been riddled with injuries. He always plays in the rookie tournaments and he's always great, but then for some reason he gets injured in camp or sometime else. But the fact that he's just playing hockey, he's staying in the organization. You never know with goaltenders when they're going to just come into their prime, come into their form. So it's great that Utah has a lot of goalies, has a lot of darts to throw on the dartboard, and we'll see which one hits the bullseye. I always expected him to play for Tucson, but it's taken a while for him. Right now they got Vialta and Dylan Wells in Tucson. They used to have Jackson Stauber, but as we all know, he's up with the Utah Hockey Club. There's 4 players also in the NCAA that aren't listed. Morden, Zlinka, and Cal Thomas. They're rarely talked about in prospect reports. They got low point totals, so I felt, maybe leave them off the board. And another goaltending prospect in Carson Mooser, who's only played 1 period this year in the NCAA, and he's not even injured. It's just his team loves their starting goalie and continues to ride him instead of Mooser, so I left him off the board as well. Then we go to the Russian leagues. In the KHL, our 2 big Russian prospects, Dmitry Simishev and Daniel Boot. Simishev, 4 points and 30 games played. He is playing a lot, which is great. In the KHL, they kind of don't favor young players, and especially players where they're headed to North America. The KHL favors veterans and players who are committed to the KHL. So the fact that he plays about 17 to 18 minutes a game, that's great for Simishev. It's a really hard league in the KHL, and some people say it's the second best league after the National Hockey League. There's some talk whether it's American Hockey League or KHL, but great stuff by Simishev. For Daniel Boot, he also is playing a lot of hockey. He averages about 12 minutes a game, and he's already passed his points totals from last year in 25 less games played. So great stuff by Boot. I'm so excited for them to head to North America at the end of this season. We'll see where they tend to fall, if they're going to play for Tucson next year or go immediately to the NHL. I think Simishev might have the better chance of going to Utah first, whereas Daniel Boot, maybe he'll have a year or 2 in Tucson. An underrated prospect for Utah is Vadim Moroz, 27 points in 32 games played. He has passed his goal totals in 30 less games played. And then Fedotov, who I took off the board in previous prospect videos, but he's back on the board. If I take you off, you can come back on the board. He's a second-round pick, so definitely comes with a high draft pedigree. Last year, he had 0 points in 16 games played in the KHL, which is why I took him off the board, but he got traded to a different team, and he's finally starting to produce 4 goals, 9 points in 21 games played. I'll keep an eye on him. He's a big body winger like Daniel Boot, so we'll see how he develops moving forward. He's staying in the KHL, I think, for like 2 more years. He's staying there longer than these 2 guys, so we'll see if he ever comes to North America. Now we go to Sweden, where we have Victor Soderstrom. I hesitated, do I even put him on this board? He is still a prospect, but it seems like his days playing for Utah or Tucson are over. The organization still retains his rights. So maybe for this video, I have him on the board, but moving forward, I'll take him off just to keep a note that he's still within the organization and Utah retains his rights. He signed a 2-year contract in Sweden, the top league in Sweden, the SHL. And for me, I think moving forward, he might be a trade piece in a trade sometime in the future. I really don't think we'll see him back in Utah or Tucson. Then we go to Greiger Bieber. He is a 19-year-old playing in the SHL, the highest league in Sweden. That's a tall order. That's tough to play in the SHL. But as a 19-year-old, he plays that 7th defenseman role. He plays about 12 to 14 minutes a game when he gets dressed in the game. So 25 games played in the SHL for a young defenseman. That is high praise, and his coaching staff has high praise for him as well. So maybe another underrated Utah prospect. Ludvig Lofton, a great name. 11 points in 24 games played. He plays in the Sweden junior leagues. And then Thielen and Korhonen, they play in the 2nd highest Swedish league, so not even the highest league, the SHL. Melker Thielen, he's selected to Team Sweden for the World Junior Championships, and great goalie numbers and great win-loss, 9 wins, 2 regulation losses. Korhonen, he's 22 years old. He's been in the organization for a very long time. Thielen's 19 years old. Korhonen always used to play in Finland, but this year he moved to Sweden and he's playing in the 2nd highest Swedish league. Goalie numbers could be better, but he's playing a lot of hockey. And again, keep him in your organization. It doesn't hurt. And hopefully, he's 22 years old, so he should be hitting that prime goaltending age of his mid to late 20s. Maybe we'll see him in Tucson next season. We go to Finland. Again, a mistake. Vasanen is in the WHL. Samu Bao. He has surpassed last year's totals. He only had 2 points in 43 games played last year in the top league in Finland. So it's great to see him improve already. 5 points in 19 games played. Then we go to Czechia, where Hradic is also selected for Team Czechia for the World Junior Tournament on Boxing Day. He will be playing on the same team as Michael Hurabal and Alice Czech. His name is Czech and he plays in Czechia. That's all I got on him. Also to note, if you didn't watch my Tucson video, Patrick Kosh and Milos Kelemen have moved on from Tucson and play in the Czech league. So they, again, just like Soderstrom, they retain the rights for Kosh and Kelemen, but they're not playing in North America. But Utah still owns their rights and they can't go willy-nilly play for another organization. Utah controls their destiny and future in the NHL. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you'd like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.